Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at. I've had a lot of questions from people that are have seen some of my work and just kind of starting out with this, or maybe you've been doing this and just want to learn a new technique. I'm going to go over how to construct a simple Y-back pattern thong. Okay, it looks like way bigger than it does. So the pattern is this one. I've been using this same pattern for, God, I don't know, at least 20 years. When fold over elastic became a thing, we also, at that time, a lot of us converted from your traditional T-bars, T-backs, to a Y-back. And this pattern can be used to make also a slide thong where you make a casing. You can make a casing here, but this is going to be a Y-back thong using fold over elastic so that you don't have a funky seam. Okay, there's a hack to this. All right, so what I've done is I've cut out the Y-back thong. This is an actual make for a client. Okay, I've pinned it up to keep everything stable. Why do I have it pinned? Because I've lined it. I line all the thongs. Don't want to ever send any product out there that's going to be covering an intimate part of someone's body that is not lined with something that has cotton in it. I use a jersey knit. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry, I can't tell you guys, but when I go to the store, I always buy this from the store because I just go by feel. This one is not real slinky. It's a little thicker. But it has stretch to it, and it washes up great. So you also want to pre-wash this because when you sew it to the spandex or whatever you're using, this is Mystique, it will shrink. So you want to pre-shrink it, okay? Okay. First thing you want to do after you've got your thong all situated, excuse me, I'm allergic to my husband's cats, is you're going to cut the band that is going to go at the top of the thong. This is the band area, so I'm going to refer to this as the top of the thong, the top. I'm going to refer to this part down here as the tail. Okay? So you've got the top, and then you've got the tail down here. Okay? This is the band. Okay? I cut this for my quote-unquote one size fits most at 28 inches. Okay? What you're going to do with the band is you're going to fold it together, like sides together, and make sure that it's not twisted or anything, and you're going to meet the ends, okay, so that you have it folded in half, right side together. Okay, so if it's fold over elastic, there's usually going to be a shiny side, so shiny sides together. All right, you're going to set your machine to a straight stitch at about a medium stitch length, and you're going to sew these two pieces together with a straight stitch, and you're going to have a little seam allowance left over. You've got to have a little seam allowance. So I put the presser foot underneath there. The edge, the raw edge, will be on the actual end of the salvage line, okay? So you're going to drop your needle down in there, okay? You're going to go straight across, nice and straight. Go over the edge just the tiniest bit, and then you're going to back it all the way back across, okay? And you pick it up out of the machine with the strings still on. You want to snip it because it gives you a nice little snip. Okay, let me cut this off. This is going to be an not edited, start to finish, the whole process. Okay, so you've got that stitched across. Okay, you want to round off the corners just the tiniest little bit, so they kind of look like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, but you want to make sure that you've got, you know, that right there. Okay. All right. Now, while you have this in your hand, that way you're not moving stuff back and forward, you want to hold the end of this. Don't stretch it, but make sure it's nice and, you know, flat. Okay. And you're going to find the opposite end where the fold is. Okay. Hold it in your hand. Take your little super fine little scissors, and you are going to make the tiniest little snip. Okay. You can pin it if you want to. I don't do that. I'm not a pinner. All right. So you got a little snip. All right. That is going to be a guide. Okay. Doesn't matter which side it's on. All right. Now you're going to put that band aside. You're going to change your stitch to a 5-point stitch, 3-point stitch, sorry, early, which is a zigzag stitch that's got like the little dots in it. Okay. We are going to work on the sides, each side of this, and then right now. Okay. So you're going to have that, and you're going to have your 5/8 fold over elastic, whatever you're using. I usually work off of a roll. This is the end of a roll. And you're going to attach it first to the right side and then to the left side. Okay. So we're going to work on the right side now. So you're going to take your fold over elastic and you're going to fold it over. Let me see if I can adjust this just a little bit. Here we go. That should help. You're going to fold it over. Okay. And you're going to put this in the casing. Okay. It's always better to have a little bit extra of the fold over. You don't want to be working with a little short little edge right there. When you drop the presser foot down on it, it's going to hold it in place. Okay. So I'm going to kind of pull this through. Now, as you're doing fold over elastic, couple of things. Number one, you want to make sure you're catching, obviously, the lining on the bottom. Okay. All right. Number two, you want to give it the slightest little bit of pull or a tug so that it's not ripply when you lay it down. Okay. Because if you're not doing it right, it'll end up looking ripply. You don't want that. Okay. So you're going to, what I do is I grab with my right hand, because I'm right-handed, my middle finger and my thumb. That is where I use my little tug, and then I use my index finger to fold the elastic down. So, and then my left hand, I'm actually going to have my left thumb underneath the fabric. I'm learning how I'm doing this because I have muscle memory at this point. I've made thousands of these. Okay, so I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug, just a little bit. You don't want to ripple. And sew it down up to your finger. Then, because I'm using that finger to hold that fold over down, and then sew it down to your finger. Now, when you get to this part right here, that's about midway down, and it's kind of got like a little curve where it comes from the V to the tail, you want to give it a little bit more of a tug because that's a very sensitive area on a woman's body. Okay. Now, when you get to the tail, you don't want to pull on the elastic very hard. You want to give it a little tug so the elastic, the fold over, lays down on it, but you don't want a curvy tail. Okay. Curvy tail, when you put it, when you hold it up, it'll kind of almost like look like that. Okay. That means that you've pulled on one side of the elastic on one side harder than you've pulled on the other. So you want to be consistent with it. So it takes a little technique. So it's just a little small little tug, just enough to where you see that fold over right here starting to pull down over the fabric. So you will work your way down the tail. Okay. And then another one. Okay. And then tail. It ripples a little bit. That's fine. And then you actually want to sew off the edge a little bit with your fold over. Okay. So you're going to have a little bit of extra. There's a reason for that. It's stabilizing it. Okay. So this is what you've got first. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clip the edge at the top because I don't know, that's my process. Okay, now you're gonna do the other side. Okay, you're gonna want to start at the bottom because you're gonna want to do that. Don't do that. Okay, you're gonna flip the fabric over. Okay, so you will start at the top again. Okay, all right. So again, you want to have a little bit of extra fold over on there, and you're gonna shove your fabric down in there. Make sure it's not caught up in there. Start a little bit over the edge, and if there's a little bit of extra lining, fine, fold it over. Okay, see how there's a little extra lining right there? No biggie. Sew it right in. Okay. I'm gonna pull my pen out here. I don't want anything obstructing me. Then on the tail. Okay. You see how this tail is curled a little bit? That's fine because I'm going to put the exact same amount of pull on this fold over elastic to rectify that. Pull your pen out. Pull your tail taut with your finger and your thumb. If it's curling, some fabrics curl more than others. Straighten that tail out by adjusting your elastic. Okay, so at the end you have these two. So you want to even it out nice and pretty and even. Okay. All right. And then you're going to have this at the top. You're going to snip that off as well. Okay. So now at this point, you're ready to attach the band. Okay. Okay. Now, that band that you made, it needs a guide, and sometimes you may have to go back and trim up the top a little bit to even it out just a little bit after it's sewn. I don't like anything to look bowed up, so I'm just going to run my rotary cutter over this for a second to get it to look the way that I want it. That's why I have a cutting mat underneath my sewing machine so I don't have to get up. Okay, now this is what you're going to do. At the top, okay, not the tail, you're going to fold it in half, length like this, okay? Pull your pen out if you need to, so that you have that. Ends matched up together, okay? You're going to find your center once again, and you're going to make just the tiniest little snip, okay? This is where your band is going to match up, okay? So you lay this right side up. There's your little snip. You take your band and you're going to find your little snip, and you want the elastic to be right side down, okay? Match up your snip, snip to snip in the very middle, and you're going to take your, see if I can show you. Okay, so here's my snip, snip to snip. You're going to take it and match it up, okay? And you're going to fold it down. So your actual snip is on the wrong side, okay? See that? Snip, okay? All right, so I have this band. lay it down on the machine, close to your presser foot. There's your snip, shiny side down. Oh my gosh, this is the life. Shiny side down, right side up. Line up your snips. It's going to be right in the middle of the top of your thong. You are going to start sewing in the middle, right about where the snip is. It doesn't have to be dead on, but you're going to force that fold over with the presser foot. Make sure your strings are pulled to the back. Okay, because you don't want them to get jammed up. Oh my God. Okay, so you've got the presser foot holding down the fold over while it's folded over. Okay, and you're going to, again, you're going to start sewing with your 3-point stitch. Okay, and you're going to pull on the elastic just a little bit so that you can get to the edge and hold that down where the top of the thong is going to meet the fold over. You want to make sure you've got a little bit of pull here so that it doesn't ripple. And you're going to sew it nice and neat and make sure at the edge that the two pieces of fold over match up to each other as best as you can. And you're going to ride it right over there. Okay. You're going to keep sewing that strap until you get really close to this. Okay. So we're just going to let it ride. Now, what you're going to do is not only are you going to press these two together, you're going to give it a little tug because you do want to have a significant amount of stretch in this. Okay. So I actually will tug on it from 2 different directions so that I lay that thread down into the stretch as best as I can. Okay, it's not a full tug, it's not a full stretch out, it's just a little bit, and I work with the machine to get it done. Okay, so you're getting to the point where you've got this area where you've sewed the band together. Okay, so you're going to continue. That's a very stretchy area. You want to be careful and get a nice stitch in there. Okay, so, okay, you're going to take the tail right side up, okay, and you're going to open this up. Okay, don't fold it like that. You want to open it up so that it's flat. You open it up, you take the tail, you stick it in there, and you fold it over on top of the tail. Because you're going to sew the tail straight, the fold over straight onto the tail. It's going to be kind of thick. You're going to have to be careful. You can use the seam on the band to center it up where it needs to go. Okay, so when you get on it, nice and slow so it doesn't do anything stupid. Try to make sure, it's a little tricky, takes a little bit of practice. Try to make sure everything's good to go. When you get to the end of it, again, make sure your fold over lines up, and then you're going to keep sewing. You're going to keep sewing until you get to close to this, okay? So I'm laying in a nice 3-point stitch that won't bust, and laying it down into, laying the stitch into the elastic. Okay, so you're going to get close, all right? See how close I am? I'm about like that. Maybe a couple inches, okay? You're going to come back to where you started at the very beginning, and you're going to cut those threads, okay? You don't want to sew a thread nest, okay? So what you do is where you started in the very middle here, you want to hold that. Then you want to give it a little pull backwards so that that fold over lays down on top of the thong. Okay? All right? Because if you don't have a little pull, it's going to be ripply on the top of your thong. Okay? Very carefully sew over the edge, okay, and go all the way across the top of the thong, because you don't want loose thread in the middle of the thong, and catch, I always try to catch this next corner, but not on the fold over elastic on the strap, okay? Now we're going to snip, snip, okay? And check the back of your thong on the tail. There it is. It's pretty. Okay. If you feel like you didn't catch the edge of it, go over it again, whatever. Just keep it nice and neat. Here's the front. Okay. Just back and lay it down. Couple things. All right. Gosh, always strings. All right, so this is what you get. Nice, pretty, lined Y-back thong, okay? There should be a little cupping in this area when you do the elastic, because there needs to be a cup. Some fabrics are going to cup more than others, depending on what they are. This is Mystique. It's really it's kind of, you know, it's thicker. This is a very nice, durable pair of thongs. And watch me listen very carefully. Shh. There's not a stitch busting. Why? Because we use a 3-point stitch, and I laid that stitch down into the elastic. I've been making these for over 20 years, exactly like this. These, when you hand wash them, this fold over will last forever if you're using the good stuff. Don't be tempted to go and buy some cheap fold over. You know it's cheap when there isn't a nice tight stretch to it, when it's kind of ripply looking on the roll. I usually buy it by 50 yard, 100 yard, 200 yard rolls because I sew a lot. I know who to buy it from, and I am actually careful where I buy it from that particular site, because they offer it in 3 places for 3 different prices. There are a couple of local stores that are starting, you know, that are chains that are starting to sell fold over elastic. Their fold over elastic is crap. Don't buy it from a local store unless you're just trying to learn. But this is what you get. Okay. Big stretch. That 28-inch strap is going to, so when it's sewed down, it's pretty much about 16 inches. So 32. Yep. And it stretches to 50. So I've actually put this 28-inch strap on a girl that was a size 2, and I've put it on a girl that is a size 10. And they love it. This pattern is very good. It is a 1-inch tail, at least. It's comfortable. It's not going to give anybody a freaking hemorrhoid. It's not a G-string. G-strings aren't legal in a lot of places. It's a legal thong. Now, if you, this can be modified, but like, again, this is using the fold over elastic technique. Okay. And that way you don't get any of this, you know, fold over on top of fold over, and you're trying to stitch it down, or you're starting here and then you fold over on top of fold over. This band should be all one piece. Okay. Happy sewing.